Dr. Viljean, thanks for joining us once again. We do appreciate your time. 3,000 farm workers from Niagara's farms were scheduled to receive their vaccinations this weekend through Niagara Health. Joining us now are migrant worker advocate Jane Andres and Zephie James, a musician from Jamaica. The two of you have encouraged all the migrant workers to get vaccinated. Was there some hesitance, Jane?
I've probably had a couple hundred phone calls in the last couple of weeks, and I really try to get to everybody's and just talk things through with them. A lot of them were very afraid of the fact that they wouldn't have a choice and it would be forced. And initially there was that information being given out by some farms, not so much in this area, but other parts of Niagara and Ontario. And I think with more communication from the government and different lobby groups, I think farmers are much more united now in approaching the farm workers and saying, no, you do have a choice.
Zephie, with all this hesitancy, Jane turned to you for some help. You're well respected amongst the offshore workers community. How did you get the message out to them that they needed to get vaccinated?
So I just told them that, listen, guys, cut it out. We all have to get there and get this vaccine for its work.
You've become somewhat of an international advocate now for vaccinations because you're spreading the word back home in Jamaica to some people who are really hesitant to get the vaccine down there.
That's right, because I make a couple calls to my friends and it's the same reaction, Mr. James, I'm not going to take any vaccine. So I use my Jamaican, I shouldn't say this, bad words to them and say, hey, come on, man, what are you talking about? We've been here already. We've been through the vaccine already when we were kids. This is another step up the line, so we got to go ahead and do it.
Jane, these workers are essential workers, and it is essential that they do get vaccinated because look what happened last year with some of the biggest outbreaks last spring and summer came from the working conditions and living conditions for the migrant workers.
Well, I think this has happened in a way that has forced some change, and it's also forced people to recognize what is actually happening on farms, not only in Ontario, but across Canada. And I think it's really highlighted the fact that there needs to be it's a federal program. The federal regulations need to be standard across Canada. I think the big concern presently is the fact that they're concerned that they're going to be having to be vaccinated when they arrive at the airport, which is just a very, very bad, poorly made decision on the part of the government. They have no idea what the guys go through, Mexicans or Caribbean workers, the amount of distance they have to travel. With Mexicans, it might take 2 days of travel. And with the Jamaicans, yeah, I mean, they haven't had anything to eat usually for 24 hours. So when they arrive at 6 o'clock in Toronto, they still it takes a couple hours to go through customs. Then they have to get a COVID test. And then to be told, 11 o'clock at night to start lining up to get a vaccination when they're exhausted and hungry, it just doesn't make sense. It makes sense on paper, but these are human beings we're dealing with, not machines. So there is a lot of anxiety about being forced to have a vaccine at the end of a long day like that.
Zephie, what have you heard from the other guys about how things went this weekend at Public Health?
Oh, well, they're very happy about it. They decided their mind that they should go ahead and do it because it's worthwhile. If you don't do it, you can't move amongst other people who already more likely have their vaccine or don't have their vaccine. So for you to protect yourself, you go ahead and make sure that you's all right. Because the family have to eat.
That's
and
for sure.
If you leave yourself careless along the way, then you're not helping yourself or you're not helping your family back home.
Zephie James, Jane Andres, thank you very much for joining us today on The Source.
Thank you very much.